you hear me? No. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Good morning, ladies. Today, our devotional speaker is Sharon Hastings. And if you have not gotten to know Sharon, she's very fascinating. She grew up in Kansas. I lived in Kansas City for a really long time. So we like Kansas people. And she has dedicated her life to serving others in a variety of meaningful roles. Over the years, she has worked as a band director, counselor, chaplain, professor, impacting countless lives along the way. Outside of her professional work, Sharon enjoys camping, hiking, cooking, activities that I think reflect both her love for adventure and connection. She's a proud mother of 3 and grandmother to 11. Who can top that? Yeah, I didn't think very many. Yeah, and her family really remains at the heart of everything that she does. She volunteers extensively, bringing comfort and care through pet therapy in prisons, schools, and hospitals. As you know, last year she brought her dog to share with us, and one of my favorite times that we had together. But alongside her mission work that she does with pet therapy, she's also traveled to over 50 countries, sharing compassion and building relationships across cultures. Her life is a powerful example of service, faith, and dedication. This is her story. Please join us up front.
I hate technology. Hello? This one? You hear? I always have a hard time hearing here. And I've tried all over the church, but so if this is loud, just say tone it down. Before I start, this is our last week as Winter Texans, and we're heading home to Colorado. My husband has a hankering to go skiing, and I don't want to tell him it was 91 in Denver yesterday. Closer? Better? Okay. I'll just rest it on my chin. But I want you to know that besides the beach, you run a close second, that you're what I look forward to for coming to Corpus. And you're only going to go one more week, so I'm not too jealous, but thank you. So I'd like to talk to you today about growing old. Maybe I should talk about growing up, because really, when you talk about growing up, that's what we do, hopefully, as we grow older. So, this last week was my birthday. I turned 72, and that is yeah, really. All of us should be glad that we made it to 60 and 70, for heaven's sakes. But that makes me the oldest female in our genetic line for 4 generations. Longevity is not a part of our family. So I was thinking, oh, I'm sure I'll live. Wait a minute, maybe I won't. Just because my mom smoked a pack a day, hopefully that gives me at least a year advantage. It's been an incredible life. I was thinking back over it last week and thinking from the moment I got to know Jesus, I was raised in a Christian home, but he became personally mine at the age of 11. To now, there's been so many extraordinary things happen to me that I just want to praise him for. my favorite two Bible verses, one is in Jeremiah, for I know the plans I have for you, plans not for evil, but for good. And the other one, it's my favorite, but I can't think where it is. Proverbs 3, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. I love those two verses, and I found them to be so true as I've grown. But I do still have a bucket list. So I hope he'll let me stay a little longer, because those 11 grandkids, they will all know the Lord before I leave. That's my deal with God. Of course, that means I'll probably be here another 25 years, because those teenage boys, all they think of is bucks and boobs. And I was on a cruise with them 2 weeks ago. I thought I was going to strangle them before I got home. Then I went back to my human growth and development courses and thought, they're right where they're supposed to be. I need to quit being a grandma. Anyway, I want them to come to the Lord. I would like to start school. That's been my lifelong dream. I would like to write a book. And now I would like to do legacy letters to each of my grandkids, just in case I don't live past tomorrow. Have you guys heard of a legacy letter? Yeah, they're amazing. I got one written, and I got so into it, I forgot there's 10 to go. So I want to do that before I leave here. Then I got to look at Colossians 3 that we're doing for today. And I thought, Lord, how am I doing? Have I grown up like you wanted me to? Compassionate heart, humility, kindness, meekness, patience. I think I'm doing really well. Except when I was out on Spit this week and drove past a motorist who was going 40 in the middle lane, and I called him an idiot as I drove by. That doesn't fit very well with the slander part of the don'ts. And there's a whole bunch of them. I brought my book up here because maybe I don't want to remember them all. Sexual immorality, passion, impurity, evil desire, covetousness, anger, wrath, malice, slander, obscene talk, and it goes on and on and on. Well, I don't do any of those. I did gossip last week, and that's the same as slander. If Jesus were to come into my house and sit on my couch, I would be embarrassed to death for him to watch Outlander and Bridgerton with me. And I love those two shows, but after last night, I thought, I shouldn't be watching these. So I invite you, as we keep growing together, that we encourage one another and that we look to verses like these, the fruits of the Spirit, and try to think, how am I doing? I have a quick story for you. About a month ago, I was asked if I would like to be chairman of our department at CCU. And at first I said, I don't want to work full-time. I go to Corpus Christi in the winter, and I'm not going to give that up. And they said that you could do online while you're in Corpus. And I thought, do I really want to do a 40-hour week at my age? And then God said, do it. You can be much more fruitful with this position than where you are now. I thought, okay. So the interviewing committee, you know how this goes, all these interviews. Didn't hear anything for a week. Didn't hear anything for 2 weeks. didn't hear anything for 3 weeks. By that time, I thought, it's okay, Lord. I was waiting for your answer, and the answer must be no. And God's no is often yes to what's best for us. So I contacted the head of the department and said, just wanted to check in and see how it's going. And she wrote back and said, we're still deciding. And I thought, okay. The next day, I got a rejection letter saying they'd moved on with other candidates. And here I am trusting the Lord, and I got furious. Not at him so much. I said, I know you'll make it clear, but I'm angry at the university. I've been there 6 years. They know me. They know my relationship with students. They know my relationship with you. They know teaching. What's going on? Whatever. And I was angry, and I have a teaching team. There's 5 of us, and I texted them, and I said, what do I have to do? I'm so angry, and I can't seem to get past it. And they all wrote back, nice things, and said, you don't need that title. You know who you are, and all this. And one wrote me and said, Sharon, go sit in his presence until there's peace. It was amazing. I got a text the next day from the head of the department saying we need to talk. I thought, you better believe we need to talk. So she calls me, actually Zooms me, and goes through all this small talk, and I'm sitting there just simmering with a knot in my tummy. And she said, well, before we begin, do you have any questions? I said, I do. I need to know what's going on, why. And she said, I could give you a dozen reasons. And I thought, oh my gosh, I must have really screwed up, and I don't know about it. She said, there's a dozen reasons why we think you're amazing. And I said, well, then why didn't I get the position? And she goes, excuse me? I said, I know that's impudent to say that. And she was quiet for like 10 seconds. And she said, Sharon, there's been a terrible mistake. You're a number 1 choice. You should have never got that letter. Did I jump up and down and scream and laugh? No, I started crying. You know why? I felt like Simon Peter must have felt when he denied Christ 3 times. I didn't trust him. I leaned on my own understanding. I didn't acknowledge him. And I just really felt like I had let him down. I wrote my teaching team and said, I have such mixed feelings. I don't deserve this. I failed him. I didn't trust him. It was a test, and I failed. And they wrote back and said, oh, you deserve it. Go ahead, take it. And then my friend wrote me and said, Sharon, go sit down. Sit with the Lord until you come to peace. Tomorrow's my final interview with the president of the university, and it's an acceptance interview. I think I'm excited, but boy, am I humbled. And I thought it took 72 years for me to learn humility. And Jesus is like, sometimes I have to take you places you don't want to go so you'll learn what I have for you. So hopefully we all learn from the little things that he has to show us. By the way, my entire salary is already spoken for some missionaries in our mission organization in Kenya who are dying to start a school for girls.